Hi, welcome back to Whispers in the Moonlight. So today I'm just out for a walk. I'm not working today and I'm just enjoying this day off and thought I'd do a little video just doing a walk and talk because I really like being outside. All right, this is and I'm on this little bridge thingy here. And it looks like there used to be a stream coming through, but now it's really dried up. And can you guys hear the wind? I love that noise. I love the noise of the wind through the trees. All right, so I've noticed something out here, and I don't know if it's because the lake is drying up due to no moisture. There hasn't been much snow out here this winter or rainfall. So there's flies out here flying around. Just here and there, you hear the buzz of a fly. I thought that was interesting. Anyway, today is Martin Luther Day. And our company gives us those major federal holidays off. Today is one of them. And thought I'd come out here. I actually want to go to several other places and do walking videos, but I don't know. I still got to get used to the area out here and the kind of wildlife that may roam around. So I like to do some walking videos out in Blanding. There's some really cool ancient ruins there that you actually can just drive close to and look at them. It's amazing. So, as you can see, the lake, it looks like it used to be all the way over here. But if you notice, the water level is even low in the lake. And I don't know where this lake is, where the water is used. You know, I don't know if it supplies drinking water to certain areas out here, or if it's just a habitat for wildlife to use. And I don't know why I'm kind of tired just today. I sound tired, I know. I had a good night's rest. Okay, I know it's going to get windy here, and I hope you can hear me. I do have a microphone, but I never use it. So I was going to tell you guys another paranormal story. It could be considered paranormal or supernatural. So it happened when I was a teenager. I was probably 17, and I spent 1 year on my dad's ranch out in Jedito, Arizona. I spent 1 year literally living on the Navajo reservation. And I had some strange experiences. And one of them was while I was out walking, like today. I used to really like walking everywhere. So my dad had probably, I don't know how many acres, it's a huge area, over 100 acres of land. And that was our playground. Whenever we came out, we could, ride horses when we had them, anywhere, do cookouts, things like that, go hunting. Well, my dad did the hunting part. But I was out walking like today. I decided to take a walk up on these mesas, which is like miniature mountains. I decided to go walking up on the mesas. And I went on some different levels of rocks. It looked like staircases to me. They're just different rock formations. I just found them so interesting. And once in a while I would go up there and go walking and look at stuff. And walk from, to the top of the mesa and look down into the valley where my dad's place was and his mom's place. And just kind of look around from the top and see from a different vantage point how it looks. And it was a pretty little valley, No one lived in it except us, except my Nellie and my dad. And, I like the water. When it glistens like that in the sunlight. Oh my gosh, I think that's just so beautiful. It takes my breath away just looking at it. I don't know what mesmerizes people. I find nature does that to me. Sometimes I just look in awe, like, wow. So pretty. Back to my story. So, I'm walking up on these rocks. There's no one up there for miles and miles. It's a very remote area. And this was back in the, I would say, late 80s, probably around 1989. And it's starting to get towards evening, to get to dusk. And I'm still up there. I probably spent the whole day up there just wandering around, looking at stones and trees and thinking about how if there were, ancient peoples like the Anasazi left all their ruins out there. There were a lot of Anasazi pottery stones, broken pieces everywhere in that area. And a lot of their ancient rune formations were still up there. I'd love to go back up there and see it sometime. I plan to actually this spring. I'm going back up there and check it out. And maybe I'll do a video when I go up there so you guys can see the ancient formations. I hope they're still there. I hear the geese out there somewhere. And I think they're way over there. Way towards the back of the lake there. So, sorry about all the interruptions, guys. I'm just talking away, and things will grab my attention. So, I'm walking up on these rocks, right? And I see this rock formation that kind of stands like this, kind of like this. You know, it looks like an overhead tunnel, but it's just the way the rocks fell or the way they stood. And it's not that big because I had to stoop down to walk through it, walk underneath it and come out. And it's a small rock formation like that. And I don't know what drew me to it. I just looked at it and thought, oh, that's interesting. And I had this weird obsession with castles back then when I was a very, very young. I don't know why I constantly thought of castles. I don't know if in my previous life I lived in a castle, worked in a castle. I have no idea, guys. I had this weird obsession with castles. And I never really knew about castles. But I loved any stories I could find with castles in them. Things like that. And it just reminded me of a castle, like a doorway inside a castle. So I thought, oh, that's so cool. You know, I can imagine I'm in a big castle and I'm walking through that doorway. So I walked underneath that little rock formation that almost resembled a doorway. As I walked through it, I started hearing voices, many voices behind me, which really freaked me out and scared me. I don't know where the voices came from. There was no one up there, no one at all. And the voices were not a language I've ever heard. It was very ancient, the language. I can tell by just the way they spoke. But it sounded like a whole bunch of them were behind me. And they were angry. And they were saying, like, I almost understood what they were saying. It's as if they were saying, catch her, get her, you know. And their intentions were not good. So I don't know if I stepped into an ancient portal. If you guys believe in that, a portal is a realm that brings you a portal from another realm that comes into our world. And some say that certain beings can come through those portals and come into our world, our realm. So I don't know if I stepped into a portal of theirs that they traveled through as spirits to check up on their old homestead where they once lived. So I started running because I got really scared, and they were running behind me. I can hear them running and shouting behind me in their ancient language. And I ran for my life. I probably ran at least 3 blocks to get home. 3 city blocks, that would be the distance of how far I had to run to reach home. And it was dusk, so, you know, it was going to get dark pretty soon. And I usually didn't stay out that late on my walking adventures. I usually leave before it reaches dusk. But I was up there pretty late that day. And I really like this tree. It's an old cedar tree. Really like it. So hello again, dear tree. I always greet it when I walk past it. Does anyone else do that? I'm sure a lot of people do that. I do that with that tree. I always greet it. Even when I walk through here with my husband. He knows my little quirky ways. And he doesn't say nothing about it when I do things like that. I always tell him I love trees, I love stones and flowers and things like that. Just love the nature, the beauty from the earth. So I ran all the way home, and I can still hear them running and yelling behind me as I was running down that mesa and hill. And at some point, as I was running down the hill, the voices faded away. But boy, they were really running after me. And I never looked behind me to see if there was anything. But I do know that there was nobody behind me. I do know that. Because when it started, yelling at me in their language, when I went through that, looked like a gateway or doorway, there was absolutely no one behind me. And as I was running down that hill, I did look behind me. There was nothing. But as I was running down that hill, the voices, the running sounds, all faded and disappeared. So I just think that I walked through their portal and disturbed them, and they didn't like it. And I've heard stories about the Anasazi people being cannibals. Maybe they were still in that mindset of finding their next meal, and I was going to be the next one. It was just so scary and freaky. Look at the lake. Part of it is frozen and part of it isn't. I sure do miss walking around this whole lake though. Once it gets warmer, I love to start doing that again. So what do you guys think? Tell me in the comments below if you've ever experienced something like this. I've had another experience similar to what I just told you. That happened to me in Grand Canyon in the national park. And I used to work there in the Grand Canyon Park many years ago. I was a seasonal worker there. I did many jobs. I worked there as a reservations agent for the Grand Canyon Hotel. And I worked as a ticket sales girl selling tour tickets inside the Bright Angel Lodge. And I worked as a housekeeping supervisor for the Bright Angel Lodge cabins on the cabin site. And I worked as a housekeeper as well. So I did all those jobs. And one of my jobs, I think it was when I was a housekeeper, I had to open the office, and I had to do it really early in the morning. I had to open really early in the morning, and it'd be kind of dark sometimes when I'm walking to the housekeeping office, which was inside of a cabin, kind of towards the edge of the Grand Canyon. You know, they have everything at the edge. Kind of close to the edge. If you ever go there, you'll know what I mean. And it was kind of dark, and I'm walking in the morning to work. And it looks like the sunrise was just starting, like just barely. You can see a little line, golden horizon peeking out, just barely starting. And I am just walking along, just another morning, another day, and all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, I heard singing. And the singing was, Native American type of singing. And it just came out of nowhere. It sounded like it came from the edge of the canyon where I was walking, like right there, right at the edge. And it was beautiful, the singing. With some rattles. You can hear the little rattles in the background. And the singing. Very, very Native American. Very beautiful. I don't know from which tribe, And it was just chanting. It wasn't like really words in the singing. It was a chanting type of singing. And the emotions I got from it were very good intentions. Like it was saying to me, good morning, you'll be blessed. Good morning, have a blessed life. Like it seems to be with that kind of intention. And I don't know where that came from. And as I remember now, thinking about it, there were some people around me. That's what was confusing. Now I remember, because this happened so long ago, guys. I'm trying to remember what exactly I heard. So there were people around, and it was like right before sunrise. And these other people around me were tourists. And they were just walking like they didn't hear nothing at all. And I was just standing there like, does anyone hear this? I'm looking at everyone. No one hears it, I think. I'm the only one that heard it. And I just kind of was touched by what I heard, and that I was the only one who heard it, because I kind of looked around at people to see their reactions, to see if they would look to where the sound and the music was coming from, where the singing was coming from, and nobody. They're just walking along, drinking coffee and just walking. Like they're clueless to what I'm hearing. Just clueless. And I said to myself, I think I was blessed by my ancestors to hear them. Like, I don't know. That's how I felt. Now, at that time, I wasn't really, like, I wouldn't say I was a spiritual person or religious person. I'm just an everyday person who was just going to work that day and thinking about random stuff, and And I have no explanation what that was. And it was real. It's not something that I daydreamt or imagined. Sorry, I think I'm turning my phone every way as I walk. So I'll try not to get you guys dizzy. I like how the mountains peek out from behind the trees. And just pretty to hear the water. And the ice is trying to break as the water laps upon it. The water is trying to break. Okay, one last unusual experience I had in Grand Canyon. So one other experience I had was when I took a mule ride trip. So you ride on a mule, and the mule looks like a horse and is just as big and strong. And the Grand Canyon Park used mules, not horses, to ride down into the bottom of the canyon. So I signed up to do a mule ride trip. And my husband at the time was with me, and he didn't want to do it. He was kind of scared. I was the more adventurous one. So I said, I'll go. And I went. And there was a group of, I would say maybe 15 of us that went on this mule ride trip. When we rode to the bottom of the Grand Canyon, we spent the night there. The next day we rode back up on the mules. And boy, was I sore and tired when I got back. But it was a once in a lifetime experience, which I truly will never forget. I even got a certificate for it, proving that I went on the mule ride trip, the name of my mule, the date it's officially stamped by the Grand Canyon Park. And it's pretty much a life waiver certificate, because you do sign it stating you will not do anything legal towards the Grand Canyon Park in the event that you lose your life. Because it's possible you can, it's possible that the mule will buck you off and you can fall into the canyon, or if the mule slips for some reason off the edge of the trail and you slip, because we rode on trails that were kind of dangerous. Some of those trails were right around the edge of the cliffs, and instead of being very, very scared, I react to just natural to it, like, oh, there's a trail, I'm just gonna go down it now, you know. So I guess I had no fear. I don't know, would I do it again? Probably. But to go down a roller coaster, that's something I'm scared of, especially the really big ones. And I've been on many roller coasters, but not something super huge. So looks like someone's gonna come walking this way, I think. But anyway, yeah, we went down. Oh, guys, I hope you guys can hear me with the wind blowing on me. I don't know. We went down the Grand Canyon. It's a 1 mile right down. You get a cabin to sleep in and a really nice, scrumptious, delicious steak dinner when you reach the bottom, and then a huge breakfast, huge hearty breakfast in the morning, and you're right back up. And it's a pretty expensive tour to pay for. Back then it was almost $400 for one person. I got to enjoy the trip for free because I was a ticket girl, meaning I sold the tickets for all these events in Grand Canyon. I sold tickets to do helicopter tours, mule tours, bus tours, walking tours, things like that. I sold tickets for all of that to the tourists. And working in that department, all the staff are eligible to do all the tours for free. So I did do the helicopter tour with a friend of mine, and then I did do the bus tours, walking tours, all that. The only tour I didn't participate in was the rafting tour. I'm scared of water because I don't know how to swim. And they do a river rafting tour in the Grand Canyon. That's the only tour I didn't participate in, as I remember. Okay, we'll start walking back this way. So, at the bottom of the canyon, there's a cabin. And I had pictures, and I'd have no idea what happened to these pictures because back then I didn't have a digital camera. And I think some of the tourists that came along, they took pictures of me and sent them to me in the mail because I remember giving them my address. And there was a very nice lady on the trip who wrote behind me. She had a camera and she took pictures of me standing by the cabin, and at the bottom there's a little lake or stream. She took a picture of me standing by that. And she was, I don't know where she was from, to be honest. I don't know if she was from Europe or the East Coast, but she was very interested in talking to me when I went on this tour, as I remember. She was an older lady, and I misplaced all the pictures she sent me. Sadly, I don't know what happened to them. So I had a really nice experience on that trip. So at one point, I did almost go over the edge of the canyon, almost lost my life. Had that mule not come back up over the trail the way it did with me, I probably would have went down and died. And at the time, I think I was my mid-20s when I took this trip. So I had one child and he was still small. So I remember at one point where the trail curves over the edge of the canyon. And as we were rounding, my horse went off the trail on the back. His hind legs went off the trail. And I felt it go down. And honestly, I didn't know what to do. But I remember holding the reins really tight and kind of pushed him forward. I didn't panic, which surprises me. I did not panic. And it used its muscles and its legs really good to come back up onto the trail and not slide down and fall down in the canyon with me. And I don't really think about it too much because it happened so fast. Oh, I love how the light glistens on the water. So pretty. And as I'm walking out here, guys, I have to keep alert for wildlife. That's one thing about living in a rural area. is you do have to keep an eye out for yourself in these places. Slightly chilly. I'm wearing a pullover, which is really warm, and a really nice thick overcoat. I don't know what the material is of this overcoat, but it's so warm. It keeps you so warm, and everyone gives me compliments when I wear this at work, like, because I go to several places when I work. So, get to the story. Let me get to the story, guys. So, I am sleeping in the cabin at night, and in that cabin, I was the only one assigned to be in the cabin. There were 2 bunk beds in there, so it can accommodate 4 people. But my company gave me a cabin just for me, so that was really nice. And the tourists all had cabins they shared with each other's, but I had my cabin all to myself, which was a little bit spooky that night because I don't like being in the dark all alone. So I think I did leave a lamp on all night by my bedside. So what happened is I don't know. I don't think it's even a dream because it felt so real. So real. And it was very unusual. It might have been a dream, but it felt so real. It was a very lucid, real dream I had. So basically, the middle of the night, I heard someone knocking on the cabin door. And I wasn't afraid to answer. We're at the bottom of the canyon, guys. Bottom of the Grand Canyon, and I'm middle of the night hearing someone knock on my cabin door. Most people will not answer it. I went to the door and I opened it, and there were 2 girls standing there, 2 young Native American girls, dressed in their old traditional clothing, which looked like buckskin dresses. And they were wearing moccasins. They had nothing modern on at all. Their hair was not modern. It was just long and hanging down. And they spoke my language. They spoke to me in Navajo. The whole time they were with me, they spoke in Navajo to me. And we understood each other's, and I spoke back to them. And they said, "Can we come in for a while?" I said, "Yes, come in." And I said, "Where are you from?" I said that to them. And they said, "Oh, we're from here. This is our land," they said. "From a long time ago, we were here." And I kind of was like puzzled. And I said, "Oh, I see." And they said to me, "We are from here." And they basically were telling me they're my ancestors. And they said, can we sleep here for a moment before we go again?" And I said, "Sure." I said, "There's an empty bunk bed next to me right over here, and you guys can sleep on it." And the girls were near the lamp, and I saw their faces as they were sitting on the bed talking to me. So I really saw their faces. And I was just looking at them, and this belief, like, wow, like, ancestors from a long time ago are here visiting me. Like, this is unreal, I was thinking. And they're very nice, very pleasant, very well-mannered. They asked permission if they can stay and rest up a little bit, and I told them, yes, you can do that. Showed them the bed where they can lay and rest. So they laid down. And they were pretty slim, so they fit on one bunk bed on the bottom, which was right across from me. And that's where they laid down. And then we went back to sleep, all of us. Now, I didn't turn off the lamp. I laid down on my side. And I thought, okay, I got to talk to them in the morning. And I got to ask them a lot of questions about our people. And what happened to them if they live down here. And the way they spoke Navajo was, it just felt very, very old. Just the way they spoke the Navajo language. It was very authentic, very old, and I really understood them because I do know my language. And there's some things I don't understand in my language, but most of it I do understand. So they looked very tired, and they looked, kind of malnourished. They were very thin. And I felt bad for them, thinking, how could this be that they've traveled so far? No one's seen them or helped them. Someone's got to have seen them because this is a huge national park, and there's so many park rangers that walk up and down these trails and work here. How did they not see them? I was thinking that in my brain. And I thought, okay, we'll fix all of this in the morning. We'll get it all resolved. They'll come back up with us and get treatment, get clothes, proper clothes, food, all that, I was thinking. So we went back to sleep. In the morning, I woke up and I was so happy to wake up and talk to them. Well, I looked over to where they were on the bed, and they were not there. The bed looked like it wasn't even slept in. And I was shocked that I had this experience where my ancestors either really came to me or came in a dream, spoke to me and told me who they were. Like they really came to see me. And then they were gone in the morning when I woke up. I don't know if they really came and they left early. They didn't wake me up. And when I woke up, I said to myself, I think they didn't want to wake me up. They must have known I was so tired that they felt bad they would wake me. And that is my story. That is what happened. So I hope you enjoyed those stories. And I remember at breakfast when I was sitting with all those people, everyone was talking about their experience, and I shared mine with having these ancient people come to visit me in the middle of the night, and that I wasn't sure if it was a dream or if it was real. And they were so happy to hear that, so shocked, some of them, because these people, the majority of them that came with us were from Europe. And they were saying things to me like, that's so special that you had your ancestors come visit you, that they were here, that they told you, That is like a huge spiritual experience. They were all saying that to me. So that is something I just want to see you guys to see me. So that I'm really behind the camera talking. So and to let you know that that really happened to me. And I was in my 20s when that happened. So those are my supernatural experiences in Grand Canyon Park, and the first story was in Jedito, Arizona on the Navajo Reservation. I do plan to go back to that same place where I had that strange experience and just go walk around, take a hike. I don't know if I'll see that doorway formation again. If I do, I will not go enter it. I will not do that. But I have so many more stories of the paranormal and supernatural, guys. So I'll be sharing those with you and see what else I can share. Most of my hobbies are reading and going on nature walks, things like what I'm doing now. This is what I enjoy the most. And someday I'll have to do a coffee chat with you guys from inside our apartment, but right now it doesn't work because my husband actually uses the living room as part of his work office, so he does have to work all day, and I don't disturb him when he's working. Today he's working. He doesn't have the holiday off like I do. And I was thinking of doing a coffee chat this morning, but I'll have to do that sometime when there's no work going on. And we can talk about more stuff. But let me know in the comments if anyone's had any of these experiences like I've shared with you. If you have, could you give me a short comment on what happened to you? What do you guys think of my stories? Because most people left comments saying that it was relaxing or my voice was soft. I'm more interested also in hearing what you guys think of the stories I'm telling. What is your opinion on it? Would you be scared if these things happen to you? How would you handle it? All right. We'll leave you with this beautiful view. I'm going to start walking back to my car. I've been walking about 48 minutes now, which is a really good walk. I love long walks. And I'm hoping wherever you are having a wonderful day. Stay warm if it's cold where you're at. Enjoy your day. And many blessings to all of you. Till next time.